Hello and welcome back, and here we are again. Now, it's been a while, I know, I'm not very good at this, I've been working, I'm not currently, so there we go. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So, let's talk about the Formula One. It's back with a few races in now, and I think it's important to talk about the absolute clusterfuck that was this weekend. But before we do that, let's go back and talk about a few other things. So we're going to go back to 2020, which I have done a video about before. You can go find it somewhere, I'm sure it's there. And we'll just cover a few little bits and pieces before getting on to what. Yeah, anyway. So let's get back to 2020, and I'm sure if you cast your minds back, seems so long ago now. It was the year of COVID and interruptions, and Formula One ended up having to reduce sort of what it was doing, and we went to some old school circuits as opposed to some of the ones that we've been going to for the last few years. And as I said at the time, actually going to some of these proper old school, proper racing circuits really opened things up. It made racing a lot closer, even with the old style cars that they used to have before, obviously all the changes that have come through in the last 2 seasons. And it just showed that a lot of the problem was that a lot of the modern tracks on some of these street circuits are just crap. Absolute crap. They're just not good. They don't lend themselves to racing. They're just not very good. And that's part of the problem. In 2020, we didn't go to most of those. We went to a lot of old school circuits. I mean, and the racing was just much, much better, much more entertaining. It was a really good season. But of course, you can't tell the Formula One that. They revert back to type. So anyway, 2020, things were all lovely. The racing was good. And then we come to 2021. One of the closest battles. And it was really good. I mean, then the director Michael Massey had made a couple of dodgy calls throughout the season. But it hadn't really, at that point, impacted the championship. Until, of course, we got to the last race, where even now the FIA has admitted they made a complete and utter cock-up of it. Now, I know lots of people are going to be, doesn't matter who you're a fan of, it broke all the rules. It shouldn't have happened. You're not going to overturn it. It's not going to get overturned. So, pull that out of your head. Should it have happened like that? No. Should Max have won the way he did? No. Without that, would Max have won? Probably not, but there would have been a slim chance if they'd have just left all the cars in the positions that they were in, which is what they should have done if they wanted to go racing, and just let them duke it out. He would have had it would have been a much smaller chance, but there still would have been a chance there. And it would have been fair. What happened was just an absolute mess. But anyway, that is that. It is done. We need to draw a line over it. People keep going on about it. It's done. It's finished. It's happened. Move on. Okay? So anyway, then we come to 2022, the new regulations and the new cars. And there is no doubt at all in Red Bull's dominance, and Max thoroughly deserved the World Championship that he got. Even though there were a few people have said, well, there's a few issues. Yes, there were. But even if you take those away, they're still going to win that championship. They did it fair and square. It's theirs. You can't argue with that. They did an incredible job. moving into this season, 2023, again, they have started where they left off, and you can't argue that they are ahead of everybody else. And, you know, Max is driving incredibly well. Can't argue with that. I'm not going to go into personalities and drivers I do and don't like and things like that. If you want that, I'll do another video on that. But you cannot doubt the fact that they are bossing it at the minute. They are on fire. They are the team to beat, and they are the drivers to beat, because they're doing very, very well. Let's just quickly touch on the cost cap breaches. Now, let's not forget, everyone bangs on about Red Bull with the cost cap, and they did, and they should be punished for it, but more than one team broke the cost cap. It doesn't matter how much it's by. It doesn't matter if it's by £10 or £100,000. If you broke it, you broke it. And a breach of it should be treated exactly the same, regardless of the amount. And there should be a set penalty for that, which the FIA screwed up and didn't really set in stone what they were going to do. I don't think the penalty probably went far enough to be perfectly fair, but what they should have given, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that because it's irrelevant. It's done. Again, move on. The one thing I will comment on is that Christian Horner was like, well, the extra money didn't go on the car, it went on catering. You can't really say that, though. And let me explain why. So, let's say you've got a pot of money. This is your pot of money. So you've got 5 pots. You put 2 pots onto the car. You put a pot into personnel. You put a pot into marketing. And you put a pot into your food and whatever you're catering. Okay? There's your 5 pots. Simple. Now, what Red Bull is saying is that they actually had a 6th pot. But that went on to catering. That's the overspend. We'll call this the overspend pot. But if you've put your 2 pots into the car, and then you've put your personnel one in, and then you put your marketing one in, and then you spend this one here on catering, you've got a pot spare that you can use elsewhere. Now, where that money's gone, I don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows. The only people that are going to know that are the FI internal auditors, investigators, and Red Bull. I mean, none of it may have gone on the car. It may not have done. I find that highly likely. It's going to have gone somewhere. It may not be like an actual, like, we're going to put this pot of money like to make this thing that we couldn't make otherwise. I don't think it would be that as such. But again, it's something that's been covered and it's done and it's over. So let's move on. Provided they've not done it again. But again, I suppose now you know what the punishment is. Would you be willing to breach the cost cap if it's just a fine? But again, that puts the smaller teams at a disadvantage. And this is my problem with it. Because the smaller teams who may aim from saying spending an extra 100 grand if they could actually afford it, then probably wouldn't be able to pay the fine. Whereas the bigger teams can probably breach the cost cap because they can afford it and pay the fine because they can afford it. Which is why I don't think the penalty was right for breaching the cost cap. But anyway, that is another cock-up that the FIA have made. Well done, guys. We're doing very well. Splendid. Splendid. Anyway, let's move on to the clusterfuck that's just happened, which is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku. Now, first of all, the circuit is terrible, and they've just extended it. Another round of applause for the FIA. Absolutely fantastic. Well done, guys. You're taking us to another absolutely completely dull circuit, where the only exciting thing that might happen is somebody might crash. But again, that's not necessarily, well, let's face it, we do watch it for that. But at the same time, you'd like to see a bit of racing as well, which you just, the circuit's not good enough for it. It's just a crap circuit. Let's be honest, it's a crap circuit. It shouldn't be on the calendar. Simple as that, really. But anyway, moving on. That's not the main thing we're here to talk about. I don't know why I'm waving my TV remote at you now. I've just got the sneak one in the background, that's why I'm watching it. If anybody is interested, it is 6 frames to 2. with Selby currently on the frame with 94 points. But by the time this goes live, it'll be over. So that's kind of irrelevant. So moving on anyway. This week was one of the shitty sprint races. Now, I'm not a fan of these. They're pointless, they're stupid. This is all about Americanizing Formula One, and it's got to be a spectacle. It's got to be a spectacle. It is a spectacle. It's the pinnacle of motorsport. It doesn't get more of a spectacle. It doesn't need all this other crap that you keep throwing at it. This isn't NASCAR or IndyCar where it's boring as fuck. Okay? You know, because if this carries on, I'll tell you what's going to happen. All the races will be in America, and all the teams will have to move to America, and it will just be an American-centric thing, because obviously everybody knows America is the centre of the universe. But anyway, I digress. Move on. So, as it was a sprint race weekend. Now, I don't like the sprint races. I think they're pointless. I think they're stupid. I think it adds additional costs when they're trying to keep costs down, which is, again, a moronic thing to do. Absolutely stupid. Let's put a cost cap on. Let's keep costs down. Let's put in an extra race that's completely and utterly pointless. Yeah, that makes sense. There we go. Another round of applause for the FIA. Woo! Yes, well done. Fantastic. Anyway, moving on. So, we know I don't like this sprint race. But this weekend is the first one of this season. What the absolute of a clusterfuck was that? So we had practice. We had qualifying. For no apparent reason other than to have qualifying, it would seem. So why? What is the point? Why bother? Then we had sprint race qualifying. We've already had qualifying, but we'll have another qualifying. So we've had qualifying, followed by qualifying for the sprint race, which makes no sense whatsoever. Then we've had the sprint race based on the qualifying for the sprint race, but not the qualifying. Are you keeping up with this now? I hope so. And then we've had the race based on the results of the sprint race. What is the It's just pathetic. It's an absolute waste of time. So here is my message to you. If there's a sprint race weekend, do not watch any of the sprint race. Because if people stop watching it, I can guarantee you they will have to stop doing it, because it's just going to be pointless. So if you're a Formula One fan and you, like me, think it's a load of bollocks, don't watch your sprint race. Watch qualifying, watch the race, don't watch your sprint race. Do not watch it. And again, as I already alluded to and pointed out, you know, because apparently there's something that works up here. I won't put a bet on it, but there we go. You're adding more races, more qualifying, more cost when you've got engine limitation, gearbox limitation, parts limitation, a cost cap. And with street circuits like the one they've just done, much more chance of people crashing into each other, increasing costs even further, which again, for the smaller teams who may not be able to breach a cost cap, is going to be detrimental. It just doesn't make sense. It's like asking somebody to play catch and then chopping their hands off. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I've ranted on enough. Tell me what your thoughts are. If you would like any more opinions or thoughts on Formula One or any other sport, feel free to comment or whatever, and I will do that for you, because I have lots of time on my hands at the moment. Thank you very much for stopping by, and I think we should, on this occasion, just for one last time, give the FIA one final round of applause for being complete and utter fuckwits.
Jet plane headed up to the sky, spread wings and the clouds getting